not being disorderly.
Okay. I'm not going to tell you again. Get up.
I have not committed a crime. I can't get up. You're hurting me.
Were you offended by the contents of his signs?
No,
Why did you think they were offensive?
I didn't think they were offensive.
So why did you arrest them? But specifically the First Amendment, you don't remember.
Correct.
This police sergeant believed that he could violate the Constitution without consequences, but justice had other plans. When the case reached court, he was exposed, humiliated, and held accountable for his actions.
How are you?
Well, I was doing just fine until just a minute ago.
I've already heard you say a cuss word once, so...
What do your other signs say, sir? Sir, what do your other signs say?
What am I doing?
Okay, can I see your other signs?
No, leave my feet away.
Sir, we've got a complaint of you out here holding up profanities.
Okay.
Okay, if you don't let me look at your sign, I'll take you in custody for disorderly conduct.
I'm not being disorderly.
Okay. I'm not going to tell you again. All right?
I don't consent to any searches or seizures.
Okay. This is offensive to people that are driving by and families
Is
that are
that
driving by.
against the law?
Yes.
Yes, it's disorderly conduct.
What's the penal code?
It's disorderly conduct.
Can you read that to me?
It's disorderly conduct.
Sergeant kicked the placards from Otto's hands and in mere seconds planned to arrest him. The auditor, realizing how devastating the situation is getting, decided to get on the ground to passively resist the cop.
Roll over. Since he's failing the ID, take him to jail for disorderly conduct.
When we're here answering a complaint and you refuse to identify yourself, that is a crime. When you're displaying these signs and people are calling because it's offensive to them, that is another crime. So yes, you have committed a crime. You've committed two.
You didn't warn me.
We don't have to warn you. Ignorance of the law.
I asked you politely to see your signs and you said
I
no.
don't consent to any searches or seizures of my property or my person.
I'm not going to take it.
If this illegal arrest wasn't enough, the officers continued to torment the poor auditor as they left his camera on the road.
I would like to see your supervisor right now before you assault me any further. I am being assaulted. I have not committed a crime. I have not committed a crime.
Get up.
I have not committed a crime. I can't get up. You're hurting me. You are hurting me.
Then get up.
I cannot get
Then
up
get
like
up.
this. I can't
Get
get
up.
up like this.
They lift you up.
I'm trying to get up. Matt, please.
Get up.
Help me to my knees.
We already have one.
Well, help me again.
Now they'll lift you straight
On your
up.
feet.
Stand up.
Okay, help me up. I have committed no crime. I have committed no crime whatsoever.
Soon after his arrest, Otto was charged with disorderly conduct, obscene language, and resisting arrest. Ultimately, the charges were dropped due to inconclusive evidence, and Otto filed a civil rights lawsuit against Sergeant Dial and the Royce City. The sergeant was then brought to a deposition where Otto's attorney wiped the floor with him.
As I explained earlier, one, it was an officer safety issue because I don't know what the signs are made out of or what they were. They could be used as a weapon. And secondly, we were still investigating whether a crime had been committed. And he was unwilling to show us what the other two signs or what the sign said other than what we could see.
Did you believe that Mr. Knowles had an obligation to give you those signs?
What do you mean, an obligation?
Did you have the right to see those signs?
Well, it's part of our investigation.
Did Mr. Knowles have the right to refuse showing you the signs?
Anybody can refuse anything.
Objection form.
Why did you hit the sign so hard?
With 11 years of experience in the police department, you would expect Sergeant Dial to appear a bit more confident and have ample knowledge of the law. However, contrary to this, he proved how inadequate he is in basic constitutional law.
I don't know what your definition of hard and soft is, and that was 5 years ago.
How do you define hard and soft? You can use your own definition, please.
In regards to what?
The level of force that you apply to the signs.
I mean, I don't know how I would describe hitting a sign soft or hard.
Why didn't you use less force when touching the signs?
Objection. I didn't know I used too much force.
Could you have used less force when touching the signs?
Objection, Sean. In regards to what? I mean, what was the amount of force that I used?
You said earlier that you conducted an investigation after you arrived on the scene that day with Knowles. What were the results of that investigation?
In regards to what?
Did you find anything during your investigation that caused you to arrest Knowles, that caused anyone to arrest Knowles?
Through our investigation, we determined that disorderly conduct had been committed.
How did disorderly conduct get committed?
Due to the verbiage that was on the signs, and we had received complaints.
The sergeant had violated Otto's First, Fourth, and 14th Amendment rights, and it turns out he also has no clue about disorderly conduct.
If you received the same complaints and those signs had said something different, would Knowles have been arrested?
The same complaints in what? Because the complaint we had was, it was vulgar and offensive.
What I'm asking you is, if the complaints were the same, but the contents of the signs were different, would Knowles have been arrested?
Objection, Sean.
What if the sign said Blue Lives Matter?
How is Blue Lives? There's nothing vulgar about Blue Lives Matter. There's no profanity in Blue Lives Matter.
Are you saying that if the sign said Blue Lives Matter, Knowles would not have been arrested?
I'm telling you that based on the complaints that we received that day, a guy telling me that he was offended by the profanity and vulgar that was being used in the signs.
Objection, non-responsive.
Dial refused to cite any law that had been broken that day and claimed to have made the arrest just because someone was hurt with what the placard had on them. It appears he really needs to read a book or two on the Constitution.
The complaints were the same, but the sign said Blue Lives Matter. Would Knowles have been arrested that day?
Objection, Sean. There's no vulgar or profanity in in the verb or term, the verbiage or term Blue Lives Matter.
Do you think anyone that says a bad word publicly should be arrested?
No.
Why not?
Did someone complain on them, or they just out there just throwing a fit? No complaints. I mean, there's several reasons why we would not arrest someone. I mean, if nobody finds it offensive, then disorderly conduct's not met.
So if the language on the signs had not offended someone, Knowles would have been arrested, or would he not have been arrested?
So you're telling me we didn't receive any calls and nobody complained to us? Would we have arrested Knowles that day?
Correct.
No, we wouldn't not have.
The attorney was doing a fascinating job holding the sergeant accountable, but the best part of the deposition was yet to come.
What specifically did Clark say to you about Knowles' prior disorderly conduct?
He was explaining to Knowles that as I'm walking up, he's explaining to him that, look, I've already heard you out here cussing at people.
So he was talking to Knowles, not you.
That is correct.
Did any motorists complain about the prior alleged profanities that Knowles said before you arrived?
Well, the one gentleman told me about the signs, and regarding what the people on 911 called in about, I do not recall that.
If anyone complained about verbal language and you didn't hear any allegedly profane verbal language from Knowles at the scene?
I did not hear it, but I heard Clark explaining to Knowles that he has already witnessed it or observed it himself.
Do you know one word of profanity that Knowles said?
No, I do not.
And you are not aware of any person that was offended by what Knowles said?
As the sergeant himself claimed that the arrest was made due to the contents of the placard, the attorney was ready with some even better questions regarding that which would silence the corrupt cop.
Were you offended by the contents of his signs?
No,
Why did you think they were offensive?
I didn't think they were offensive.
So why did you arrest them?
He was arrested. He was arrested because people had either called 911 or flagged us down about a gentleman that had offensive signs, and obviously Clark observed him using offensive language while he was there.
If Noel said fuck the draft, would you have arrested him?
Objection. Directly to me or to who?
To anyone.
If they were offended about it, yes.
So are you saying that if anyone said anything offensive to anyone, you would arrest them?
I mean, I don't think certain terms, just because you're offended by them, does not constitute that. But when you have vulgarities or profanities in there,
The sergeant kept stumbling, making blunder after blunder, and the attorney was closing in on the core issue, First Amendment right. Clearly, this would be the final blow, completely dismantling the sergeant's shaky defense.
So you would arrest somebody if a citizen complained about vulgarities?
Objection. So a citizen made the police department or dispatch aware that they had used profanities and vulgarities and were...
Have you arrested more than 5 people in your career?
I believe that would be an accurate statement.
Have you observed more than 10 arrests in your career?
I'd probably say I have observed more than 10 arrests in my career.
Have you observed more than 25?
That I don't know.
Have you observed more than 30 arrests in your career?
I don't know.
Do you remember any specific details about your training regarding First Amendment rights?
No, I do not.
Are you saying that you don't remember one word from your training regarding First Amendment rights?
Objection. That is correct.
It is shocking that a 10-year police veteran didn't have any clue about the First Amendment. This poses a huge question to the entire law enforcement community. What kind of officers are being produced?
We went over the elements of the Constitution, and I believe the First Amendment is part of the Constitution.
But specifically the First Amendment, you don't remember?
Correct.
Do you remember how long you spent studying constitutional rights?
No, I do not.
Have you had any training related to constitutional rights since you became an officer?
I do not recall.
What topics have you been trained on since you became an officer?
I don't recall all of them.
Name one.
Accident investigation.
Anything else?
Well, I'm sure there's others.
Where did you receive the training regarding constitutional rights in 2007?
But as when I was in the police academy, is that what you're referring to?
I'm referring to the training that you refer to, that you received in 2007 regarding First Amendment rights.
The Collin County College Police Academy.
And who trained you in constitutional rights?
Could not tell you.
Because you don't remember?
You're asking for the instructor's name? No, I do not remember the instructor's name.
The lack of IQ in this officer is clearly shocking for someone holding such a high position.
Do you remember anything about the protections provided to citizens by the First Amendment?
No, I do not.
Are you aware that the First Amendment gives citizens what's known as the freedom of speech? Have you heard of the freedom of speech?
I have.
What do you think that means?
Interpretations are a dime a dozen. But basically, someone can speak freely.
Does the First Amendment protect a person from being arrested because of what they say?
Objection form calls for legal conclusion.
Do I answer it?
Answer.
I think at times it may.
Has the police department provided you with any subsequent training on constitutional rights since you've been an active officer?
I do not recall.
Have you received any training, guidance, or instruction regarding First Amendment rights while you've been a police officer?
Objection form.
In the police academy, I know we went over the constitutional rights.
But anything since then?
I do not recall.
Well, this is what happens when you haven't been given any class or training on the First Amendment and the Constitution. Soon after this deposition, the city decided to grant Otto close to $25,000 to settle the lawsuit. Despite the sergeant's lack of knowledge, he was subjected to no disciplinary action, but was instead promoted to lieutenant. Well, the actions of this next cop will make Sergeant Dial seem like an angel in comparison.
Today is that day. You are not the law. You don't interpret the law. You don't enforce the law. You're not above the law.
In 2023, a former Clark County sheriff who oversaw the police and fire department was accused of stealing over $5 million from taxpayers' money and using that money to build a mansion, buy a Cessna airplane, and luxury car. As a result, he was charged with 25 felonies, and that's when the court proceedings started with Judge Larry Medlock.
Count 2, theft as a level 5 felony. It would indicate that pursuant to Indiana Code 35-44.1, you then personally sold said Hellcat for $83,000, $83,716. Count 4, theft is a level 6 felony under Indiana Code 35-43-4-2A. First 3 counts are level 5 felonies, which have a range of imprisonment from 1 year to 6 years, with the advisory sentence being 3 years and up to a $10,000 fine. Counts 4 through 15 are all level 6 felonies, which have a range of imprisonment of no time in jail, treated as a misdemeanor, to 2.5 years at the Indiana Department of Corrections, with the advisory sentence being 1 year and up to a $10,000 fine.
Jamie sat through the initial court proceedings as the judge read aloud the charges against him. The sheriff displayed no remorse throughout it all, maintaining a cold, expressionless demeanor.
And then you will surrender it to the court by 4 p.m. next Monday, because it's my understanding the court here is closed tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
He will surrender all firearms except 1 shotgun of his choice to Indiana State Police. Being from the country, or as Mr. Wilder said, Washington County, I keep my shotgun with double-aught near me, along with my .45, but I think 1 shotgun for personal protection is appropriate for him to maintain. He will not leave the state of Indiana without permission of the court, and they'll post $75,000 in cash. Mr. Knoll, Mr. Wilder, I know you wanted him released without posting any bond, but it's a unique case, and you don't like my decision. I'm happy for you to appeal it. It won't be the first time you've appealed me, and the Court of Appeals told you I was right, so I'm happy for you to accept that challenge if you're so pleased. I'm not going to have you report in.
Judge Medlock was fairly calm about the case, but made one thing very clear. Jamie would have no weapon except 1 shotgun.
You keep 1 shotgun only. Try to deceive me, you will not like the consequences. Understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
And then, Judge, the issue of return of all other items seized, we just take up in another hearing.
Well, it wasn't set for today, so
No,
yeah, we'll deal with that at another time. I assume now that everything's going to be unsealed, there'll be a lot of new things brought before the court that
yes, Your Honor.
we'll address in due time.
Thank you, Judge.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor. Nothing else from us, Judge. Thank you.
All right, we'll be off record. Thank you all.
The corrupt sergeant had a habit of breaking the law, and he once again ignored the judge's command and was found to have multiple weapons in his home during a police raid. His bail was annulled, and he was quickly called to court again.
I told Mr. Knoll, don't do anything stupid. Do not try to deceive me, defy me. You will not like the consequences. Today is that day. You are not the law. You don't interpret the law. You don't enforce the law. You're not above the law. I find that you are in contempt of this court. Take him into custody. No, that's enough. I'll find you guys into contempt for disrupting the proceedings, and you'll be right there with him.
The judge didn't spare him this time and made sure to teach him a lesson by taunting him about his appearance in a TV show once named 60 Days In.
Now, what is an appropriate sanction? The question is, I can sentence him up to 180 days without a trial, or I can sentence him to a day, or I can release him. You know what I think the answer is? 60 days in. That's what I think the answer is today. Now, Mr. Wilder.
Mr. Honor.
Or Mr. Boyles, I apologize, Mr. Boyles, your lead. Before he is released, I'll take your suggestion. I want an independent individual to scour that household to determine that there's no further weapons. I find it, Mr. Hurdle's original argument that he was trying to make that I sustained, an officer of the law, every time I go into court, I hear, I didn't know it was there. I didn't know it was there. I really didn't. You've heard that a million times. You've heard it a million times, and yet you still take them into custody, would be my guess. Every officer in the world has heard, I didn't know it was there. It's my friends. I'm not buying it. It's your burden. It's your responsibility. And today, the court will enforce that. Take it away.
He was sentenced to 60 days in prison and was charged with 31 felonies. In August 2024, Knoll shamelessly pleaded guilty to 27 of the 31 felony charges against him.
It is. Defendants Exhibit A?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's acceptable. Cross-examination, Mr. Hurdle.
Mr. Tidman, I guess maybe I don't fully understand, or maybe in Ripley County we use the IRS for something different each and every time, no matter what's been charged.
No, sir.
Okay, because that's what I got.
Judge, could he answer? He wasn't finished. He asked a question. Can he answer?
Is that an objection?
It is an objection. He cut the witness off and he wasn't finished answering.
Response, Mr. Hurdle?
I'll withdraw the question.
Thank you.
You may.
So all due respect, I'll repeat the question, Mr. Tidman. Is it your testimony today that if someone scores a 0 on the IRAS, the court should just release them on their own recognizance?
No, sir. That decision is up to the judge. I can only simply make an IRAS recommendation and a supervision level recommendation.
Okay. And so you're not saying bond should be 1,000, 5,000, 10,000. You're talking about once bond potentially.
Now moving on, this corrupt police officer made the worst decision to remove this auditor from a courthouse and got some quick karma.
You told me this is a court that's got nothing to do with you. Starting there, we're going to be back and you're going to be going to jail.
A courtroom often becomes the worst place for a police officer to be as their crimes are exposed for everyone to see. Today we'll be going through these cases where corrupt and evil police officers were owned in court, starting off with this tyrant who abused his authority.
Dude, the cop comes until he treats me like a asshole.
In February of 2020, a First Amendment auditor, Derek, was peacefully sitting and observing the court proceedings in a Williams County courtroom when a court deputy came over and removed him.
How's it going?
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
So, what's your business here today?
Oh, I'm going to look at court.
Just look at court?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing, sitting in there.
Okay, well.
What are you sitting there for?
What am I sitting in there for?
That's why I'm asking.
You told me there was no court today.
This is a court that's got nothing to do with you.
Deputy Royce Crone began intimidating him without cause, treating him as if he had broken the law simply for sitting in a public courtroom.
So you're just wandering around sitting in a courtroom where you don't know anything that's going on?
Yeah, why can't you?
Huh?
What amendment is that? The Fourth Amendment?
I don't know if I'm not going to quote amendments.
So I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to sit and watch.
And you're going to be civil. Because if you're not,
was I in there? Was I in there not being civil?
I'm just telling you what's
I'm
going to happen.
telling you.
No, I'm telling you what's going to happen.
I'm telling you what's going to happen.
No,
I'm in there.
I'm telling you what's going to happen.
Hey,
You're going to go in there. If you're going to go in there, you're going to be quiet. Go down here. Go down here.
Let's walk around this corner. Around the corner.
I had no problem with you being in there, but if you're starting there, we're going to be back and you're going to be going to jail.
Didn't I ask you
do you understand what I said? Do you understand what I said?
I asked you.
Do you understand what I said?
I asked you if there was court today, and you told me no.
This is a civil trial.
It doesn't matter what it is. I can go in there. That's why there's benches. You can go see it.
It's not your business.
The deputy has no shame whatsoever as he makes up laws on his own. His aggressive demeanor is only about to worsen as he realizes that the auditor is also well versed in the law.
You can go see it.
It's not your business.
It's public, so it is my business.
So why did you go to every office?
Why can't I?
Huh?
What's the big deal?
Why is your problem?
Can't I?
Why?
Because people don't normally do that. They don't come in here and go to everybody's places.
You walk all over the place for no reason at all.
I'm not most people. I'm going in there,
finding that out.
and I asked you if there was court today, and you told me no.
Right, there is.
Because I like to go in mine a lot and go watch court.
Yes,
So when is court session for what?
I want to see your identification.
For what law?
I want to see your identification.
What?
I'm
For
asking
what?
you as a peace officer for some ID, so I know what I'm
For
talking.
coming and seeing?
No, because you're in my building.
My name's Derek, and this is our building.
I need your information.
It's our building.
Derek, let's not. Okay, I'm gonna security here, right? We've had security concerns in the past. Okay, that's what we have. You're right. It is public. Okay, but when you're going from room to room, that's unusual. Okay.
The corrupt officers once again try to use the classic officer safety excuse to deny someone exercising their constitutional right. Shockingly, the deputy had even lied earlier, claiming that court was not in session.
We're investigating a suspicious act in a government building. Okay, so if you ask for identification, you do have to provide it. Okay.
Okay, and why? I don't understand. Like, I go in there and you pull me out when I'm legally okay to go in
We're
there.
checking to see what's going on. We're investigating.
I'm legally fine to go in there and
but
watch
we want
court.
to make sure
You
that
pull me out? Really?
we're just seeing what your intentions are and what's going on.
For a legally okay act. I don't. They're not. No, it's not suspicious.
It is to me.
Me and you don't have the same options of what's suspicious. What's suspicious to me is you pull me out of court when I'm in there
What's
watching,
suspicious to me?
not being loud. Sir, I let you talk. No, you're not going to shush me. I let you talk. I'm in there watching court, and you have me come out here so they can run my ID. I'm in court, and I'm sitting and being civil, not making any noise. And I asked you downstairs, was there court today? And you told me no. And then you're like, well, it's none of your business. It's public. So it is my business. I can go in there and I can watch.
Derek wasn't going to be an easy target for sure, as he continued to grill the deputies who had violated his rights by removing him from a court without the judge ordering them to.
We have security concerns in here. People just don't walk around.
I'm not most people.
I'm talking now. Remember, it's my turn. Most people don't walk around and go to every office and checking out everything. That is not a normal thing to be done. That is suspicious to me. That's why these gentlemen are here. All right? This is a civil trial. You have no reason really to be in there. There's no reason
to be in any courtroom.
Okay?
Watching what's going on.
You're giving me an attitude whenever I ask you something. You might start something in there. I've got a full place full of people.
I'm sitting there being civil and quiet so that your security concerns goes right out the window. I don't understand what your problem is.
You're in my building.
This is our building. This is a public building, not your building.
It's my building.
Public, it's not your building. It is not your building. So quit saying it's my building.
You're in my building.
It's not your building.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
I'm security here. It's my building.
It's not your building.
I'm responsible for this building.
Okay, and when I came in,
anybody that's suspicious.
And I'm not suspicious. You are suspicious. Treat me like a criminal when I'm not.
The situation was getting heated, and the poor auditor had every right to be frustrated, as he had been done in by these tyrants who didn't know the law.
Let's go downstairs.
Let's go public
Let's
right
go
now.
downstairs.
All right, let's go.
All right, let's go.
10-4, thank you.
Come on, downstairs.
For what?
Huh? So court, I'm instructing this court.
Well,
This is a county building.
Okay, and it's public, we know
If
that.
you're not here for court and they don't want you here, they can do that.
If you're trespassing, they can do that. I'm committing a crime. I'm not committing a crime. I'd like to go to court and watch.
but our building, their building, whatever. If they don't want you here, they can be like, time to go.
If you commit, it's like trespassing.
You don't have to commit a crime. You don't have to.
Okay.
Okay? Does that make sense?
Still a county building.
So, if they want you gone, then you have to leave.
The problem is I didn't do anything.
Right.
I gave you my ID and I was nice. He's more than rude, and you guys are very nice. And I just want to go in there. I want to sit and not like I was. Was I doing anything wrong? I was just sitting in there watching. That I'm okay to do.
Right.
The officers disrespected him and were straight up lying to his face. Now this happens when unchecked authority goes to their head. They think they can say anything and get away with it.
But you're at the point where, like I said, he's the head of this building, so what he says, you kind of got to do it, okay?
So let's get your boss then. Let's get your boss then.
Let's go downstairs.
Is your boss, we're going to go talk to your boss.
Let's go downstairs.
We'll go downstairs and figure it out there, okay?
Take the stairs for us.
My boss, my sergeant, is not here today. That's therefore I am in charge right now.
All right.
Okay?
So I was up there not doing anything wrong. As you know, I don't have that. If you're like, hey, you need I don't need help. They ran my stuff, nothing came back. It tells you that I'm not a criminal. I've never been to court for stuff other than watching stuff in Minot. That's why when I ask, hey, is there any court going on? You're like, no. And I'm like, okay, well, let me see the building. I'm from Minot. I'm not from Williston, so let me see the building. That's what I was doing.
The deputies were now adamant about kicking him out of the building. It is bizarre how these cops still have no clue about public and private buildings and how they behave.
So if I got loud, I apologize. But we know that I can go in that courtroom, I can sit there and watch what's going on. It's public record. It's not
My concern
secretive.
is that you go into every...
That's fine, because I'm asking
every
questions.
hallway, every office, places where I couldn't see you, and you were there for a while.
And I'm asking questions.
What's going on?
Yeah, you're fine.
All right?
You're absolutely
I'm
okay.
asking questions. You're saying that you have no business here. You just want to sit.
Why can't we sit in the court? I'm just watching. That's all I'm doing.
When I first approached you and asked you about this, you copped an attitude with me.
No, I
guess you
I
did.
kind of looked at you and didn't cop
No.
it.
You
And
copped
I
an
apologize.
attitude. All right?
And I went up there and I was sitting and I was like, okay, well,
I'm going to
it's
give you an
done.
option, all right? You go up there, you can sit.
Okay.
I'm going to be up, it's going to be on camera, all right? I'll be watching. If I get any hint, any slight hint that there's going to be a problem, you will be out of here. Do you understand?
Yeah.
All right.
Although he allowed him back into the courtroom to watch the proceedings, his rude tone needed to be addressed. However, getting held accountable for anything just sets this tyrant off.
Are you not used to talking to people?
Oh, I'm used to talking to people.
I'm not.
I've been here for over 20 years, man. I know about talking to
Did I
people.
cuss at you?
Huh?
Did I cuss
Did
at
I
you?
cuss at you?
You just said the F word.
Or you want to start, the way I talk, then you can just leave. If you're going to have a problem with the way I talk, then you can just leave.
Am I being unreasonable here?
Gentlemen, I want him out of here.
Am I being unreasonable?
Okay. Yeah, like we said, you got your ID? Brett, you got his ID?
Yeah, back home.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't want to have to escort you out, but you got to go, man. Okay?
We'll get your lieutenant, or where can I go?
My lieutenant?
Chief, whoever it is. I did nothing wrong.
Okay.
I was in here just looking around, which is public
like-
property. I can do.
Well, this is my sergeant. You want to talk to him? You can talk to
I'm
him.
the supervisor on the day.
Okay, and I never got an attitude with him. You've seen the way he's acting with me. I was not rude.
Shockingly, instead of upholding the law, the officers also followed Deputy Crone's lead and asked the auditor to leave the building.
I can go up there and watch court, and I can sit there and be quiet, and that's what I was doing.
But as head of security for the building here, if he thinks the actions are suspicious, he wants to leave.
Listen
to me.
Go ahead.
If he thinks the actions are suspicious, he wants to leave, and you don't have a legitimate purpose other than to watch, I'm going to ask you to leave. That being said, if you do wish to file a complaint, there are options for that. It would be
So where's the suspicion? Can you show me what is suspicious on a piece of paper?
I've already
The law.
explained to you why it's suspicious. Okay. You come into a government building and you walk through.
Public
It's still
property.
a government building.
But it's still public property.
It's still a government building. Okay. You go through security checkpoint, get in everything. Okay. And you start going through offices where we have attorneys, important paperwork, lawyers, everything like that here in this building.
It is concerning to see how much authority Crone seems to think that he has. He has never been held accountable, and it's time that someone takes action and files a complaint.
What is, let's go to public property, right on the sidewalk, because I want to talk to you guys more. What is his fucking problem? And now I'm going to use my freedom of speech here because come on, guys. We know that I can go in there and look. I'm from Minot. I'm not from Williston, so there's nothing, what's the word, suspicious about me walking through. I even asked the lady, what's the difference between municipal and district? And I asked him, hey, is there any court today? In her office, and he told me no. If he said, yeah, there's court on the 3rd floor, okay, then I'm going to go to court on the 3rd floor and sit there and watch like I was doing.
I mean, there's no city court today. Maybe that's kind of the side of that. But either way, I understand. Yes, you can do court. But I just want you to see my point when I say this is suspicious activity, okay? It's unusual. We don't have that usually.
Of course you don't.
Yep, so that's why we're checking on it.
Yes, of course.
Derek had been respectful throughout the altercation, but seeing how things turned out for him, he had every reason to hurl profanities. It is really tough to handle a tyrant like Crone when they violate your right.
You see, he just said, come on, guys, I'm not doing anything wrong. So now I'm going to go get my camera and I'm going to sit here on public property, which we know I can do, and record in there. Because this is public property. So if he gets an attitude with it, let's be real here. It is public property.
This is public.
This is public property. I was doing nothing. Like, this is my problem, right, guys? You ran my ID. I've never done anything wrong. I've never stolen, never done nothing. And when he treats me like I don't want to use the cuss words. Excuse me, a criminal. Come on, what is that? And I understand. Hey, I understand. It's also suspicious for somebody to walk around on a public street and record your house. But there's nothing against the law to do that.
Now, it is a shame that this auditor seems to know more about the law than someone who has been in the job for over 20 years. Although the officers seem to agree with him on most things, they did not dare say a word against their senior.
If you're not I can't go into your yard and record into your window when you're naked. We know the law, the camera law. But
now that being said, if your actions do harass or annoy, that can be disorderly conduct. There are.
But it's all disorderly. And if you're just sitting there,
I'm gonna move to this point for you, okay, my man? Because like I understand where you're coming from. I really do.
I almost want to cry here. I was at Walmart in Minot, right? They were like, give me your ID. I said, no, or not my ID, but let me see your receipt. I said, no, I paid for my stuff. They're like, no, you didn't, you stole. Well, we're going to call the police. Okay. Like you said, you want my ID, I have no problem giving it to you. I don't know if it's going to like open up some can of worms where I can't go on a flight. I don't know. I've only heard, but I don't know. But you know what I'm getting at. And I'm like, okay, the cop's going to come. He's not going to give me a problem. Dude, the cop comes until he treats me like a asshole. Like, oh, they know you stole. And for me, it's like, oh, you know, and I know you guys are just doing your job, but it didn't help. And I'm a dude that's never broke a law.
I can't speak for my PD, I don't know. But I mean,
Derek continued his painful rant, and he was rightfully pissed off at the deputy's behavior. It's reckless officers like this who burden their cities with costly lawsuits.
To be treated like him, and I'm not going to go, oh, well, let me go and file a claim. What's that going to do? At the end of the day, whatever. That's my view on it now. And when you say, and I hate when people go, oh, I know how you feel. You do not know how I feel. You do not know how I feel. I don't know how you feel. You deal with criminals all day. You deal with some innocent people. So it's like I don't want to go off on tangents, but you know what I'm getting. Like I wasn't like, well, I'm not giving you. I wasn't like that. If I was like that, I could have been like, I couldn't see you guys going, okay, well, we're going to do this. I mean, you know, I don't know. Should I go talk to a lawyer right now and be like, hey, I was in the court down there. They told me there's no court, and then they had me escorted out for no reason. You know, I'll sue him. I don't care.
I mean, you can do whatever you want.
I mean,
you can. It's.
You want to
we're supposed to protect. Why is it that I've had 2 interactions with police in Minot, or not Minot, but North Dakota, and it seems like the protect and serve thing goes right out the window. You're not supposed to protect and serve one person. I thought you're supposed to protect and serve 2.
It is great to see an auditor taking a stand for himself against these corrupt officials. Once again, the officer tries to lie about the encounter, but Derek immediately shuts him down and keeps delivering his fiery speech.
All right, like I said, I'm just gonna get my camera and set it up here and try to get a camera of him.
Okay.
And
Just don't one thing.
No, and I didn't talk to him.
No, and listen to me. If confrontation happens, just call the police department. Don't get confrontation.
No, I didn't, and that's why I walked. I walked away.
And I know you didn't. I'm just telling. I just don't want you to.
I know. What? Yeah, and like I said, I know I said you were going to do a job. And I understand you say, oh well, it's suspicious to this. Okay, it might be suspicious for people to talk to themselves. People that talk to themselves think it's just fine. I understand you're just doing your job.
Like I said, we don't know what you were doing
checking on you.
And now we know.
And hey, for him to go, oh well, we want you, dude. He's not going to sit and treat me like I don't want to cuss, but I know it's my right to do so. He's not going to treat me like a asshole and expect me just to sit there and take it from him. I'm an adult. He is not my dad. I'm not his kid. If I'm his kid, he can talk to me like that.
Right.
He is not going to treat me like that, and I don't. It's not fine. It's not okay. He was out of line. I was not out of line. I have a hard time with, like, if somebody's yelling at me with being quiet, and that's why I couldn't.
Like, we can tell you're frustrated right now. We totally
I didn't do
understand.
anything. I just went in there to watch the court, which I can do by law.
Shortly after, the auditor left the courthouse, but only to file a lawsuit against the officers and Deputy Crone. He has since hired a lawyer, and the lawsuit is underway. Well, this deputy made a joke out of himself, but this next cop was rightfully punished and sentenced in court.
As sentenced for count 1, the court commits you to the custody of the Commissioner of Corrections for a period of 270 months. That's 270.
Police officer Derek Chauvin was arrested and charged with the murder of George Floyd, an incident that sparked worldwide protests and riots. During the trial, another officer who had previously pulled over Floyd was called to testify.
You were the officer who approached the passenger side of the vehicle. You approached George Floyd on May 6th of 2019, is that right?
That's correct, yes.
And you had your gun drawn when you approached Mr. Floyd, isn't that right?
Yes, I pulled it, yes.
And when you approached Mr. Floyd, he said, "Don't shoot me, man, I don't want to get shot," right?
Something like that, yes.
You told him to undo his seatbelt, correct?
That's correct, yes, ma'am.
And he did that, right?
Yes, he did.
And then you said, "Put your hands where I can see them," correct?
Yes.
And then he put his hands in the air?
Yes.
And then you told him to put his hands on the dash, is that right?
That's correct.
And that was when you grabbed his hand and forcibly put it on the dashboard of the vehicle, correct?
Fallen, yes.
And you had your gun drawn the whole time you were giving commands, right?
Once I started ordering him and he refused to show me his hands, yes, eventually it escalated where I pulled my gun, yes, ma'am.
And he was awake, correct?
What's that, ma'am?
Mr. Floyd was awake. Was he awake during this incident?
Yes.
While you were interacting with Mr. Floyd, he didn't collapse on the ground, correct?
Wait a minute, what was the question? Can you speak up a little louder, ma'am?
While you were interacting with Mr. Floyd, he didn't collapse on the ground, correct?
No, he did not.
Well, the answer is stricken. The objection is sustained. Yes.
You were asked some questions about what the other officers were doing, correct?
That's correct.
Your attention was focused on Mr. Floyd, correct?
Yes, it was.
And Mr. Floyd didn't drop dead while you were interacting with him, correct?
No.
The officer did not have much to say. Finally, after a long trial, the judge was ready to announce Chauvin's sentence. But first, he had a message for everyone in the courtroom.
I've read all the impact statements that were submitted earlier and listened carefully to all the input here today. And it is truly appreciated that you took the time to stay with this case and to provide me with input. I have reviewed the pre-sentence investigation and carefully considered all the facts of the case and the law, but my comments are actually going to be very brief because most of it's going to be in writing. I have a 22-page memorandum that is going to be attached to the sentencing order. And why am I doing it in writing? To emphasize the fact that determining the appropriate sentence in any case, and in this case, is a legal analysis. It's applying the rule of law to the facts of an individual and specific case. And that is why, as opposed to trying to being profound here on the record, I prefer that you read the legal analysis that explains how I determined the sentence in this case.
The judge assured everyone that the sentence is not based on any pressure or opinion from the public and was strictly according to the law.
It has been painful throughout Hennepin County, throughout the state of Minnesota, and even the country. But most importantly, we need to recognize the pain of the Floyd family. I'm not going to attempt to be profound or clever because it's not the appropriate time. I'm not basing my sentence also on public opinion. I'm not basing it on any attempt to send any messages. A trial court judge, the job of a trial court judge is to apply the law to specific facts and to deal with individual cases.
Finally, the judge laid the sentence, which ensured that the tyrant officer would never be able to see a day out of prison.
Mr. Chauvin, as to count 1, based on the verdict of the jury finding you guilty of unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony under Minnesota Statute 609.19 subdivision 2 paren 1, it is the judgment of the court that you now stand convicted of that offense. Pursuant to Minnesota Statute section 609.04, counts 2 and 3 will remain unadjudicated as they are lesser offenses of count 1. As sentence for count 1, the court commits you to the custody of the Commissioner of Corrections for a period of 270 months. That's 270. That is a 10-year addition to the presumptive sentence of 150 months. This is based on your abuse of a position of trust and authority, and also the particular cruelty shown to George Floyd. You are granted credit for 199 days already served. Pay the mandatory surcharge of $78 to be paid from prison wages. You are prohibited from possessing firearms, ammunition, or explosives for the remainder of your life. Provide a DNA sample as required by law. Register as a predatory offender as required by law. And then you will receive a copy of the order and also the attached memorandum explaining the court's analysis.
If this needs to be said, we just ask that it be executed forthwith.
Defendant is remanded to the custody of the sheriff to be transported back to the DOC or whichever custody is currently holding him. Anything from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. We are adjourned.
Next, we'll be going through the awful story of this heinous predator cop who was sentenced to life.
Defendant is guilty of the crime of forcible and punishment is set at 16 years.
Cops often make serious mistakes, but they must be held accountable. Today we will cover the story of a heinous officer who made the biggest mistake imaginable and did the unthinkable. Fortunately, he was held accountable, but make sure to watch how his case progressed. On June 18th, 2014, Officer Daniel Holtzclaw was heading home after his shift with his CAD and GPS turned off. That is when he spotted 57-year-old Jannie Liggins and decided to pull her over. What he did next was horrific, as he forced her to perform oral sex on him after stripping. The brave woman went over to the police department the next day, and as the corrupt officer arrived for his shift, he was welcomed by a couple of detectives.
Okay, tell me about that stop.
I was going westbound on Northeast 50th, probably a block just east of Lincoln. I see a red Grand Prix or Grand Am in my right lane, in the outside lane. I'm in the inside lane. The car swerves, and so at the time I'm thinking, okay, it's probably a drunk person, or maybe got excited because they saw a cop. And then made contact. It was a black female. Asked for license and insurance. Stated that she didn't have insurance. Gave me an ID.
Do you make traffic stops normally after work?
I don't, but in that case, I saw her swerve and whatnot, so
I mean, me, I don't.
Felt.
After I get off work.
I know. I mean, people cops say that is have a.
Detective Kim Davis was the one leading the interrogation from the front and came straight to the issue at hand.
Okay, so you got her out of the car?
Yes.
Okay. And put her in the back of your car?
Yes.
Okay. Any problems there?
No, she was cooperative. Didn't give me any problems or whatnot.
Did you run her on your MDT?
No, I didn't. All my stuff as far as that, because I didn't call it in and say it was a traffic stop. My computer was off and everything as well.
Did you shut it off?
I just shut it off. Yeah, on the way.
When you put her in your car, did you pat search her?
When I came here, I was like, lift up your shirt. Is there anything on you? Anything as far as your waistband or anything like that? She said no. And then I put her in the vehicle and went from there. Asked her everything.
Did your hands go on her at all?
I backhanded her on as far as the side.
Where on her body? Tell me. You backhanded
her waist, and the back portion. I didn't touch her butt or anything, but the back portion of the waist. And then she lifted it up like right here, and there's nothing.
Did she lift it up like this?
No.
Okay. So she never went, whoo, nothing,
No.
exposed her breasts or anything like that?
She asked me if I was like, no, it's okay.
She asked you.
Despite the shocking allegations being thrown at him, Officer Holtzclaw remained calm and cordial. However, he had no clue how he was about to be exposed.
So I was saying it was the hip, the side, not the butt section.
What about right here?
No.
You didn't?
No, I didn't.
They can tuck a gun
That's
right here.
why I asked to lift it up.
Oh, so she just kind of showed you her belly?
Right.
Okay.
What did she say?
Well, was there anything, an accidental touch, anything?
If she thought it when I pass searched her, but it was nothing as far as I felt like I would do anything as far as sex. For my safety, I just checked to see the weapons or anything. To make clear, I didn't touch her butt, but the waist side and whatnot. If you would like me to do it for you to show you.
No, and I'm fine with it, and you have every right to do that. She's saying that you made her lift up her shirt, and when she lifted up her shirt, she exposed her breasts.
No.
Later, after a thorough investigation, it was found out that this was not the first victim of this corrupt officer. In fact, he had sexually assaulted multiple African-American women in the last year.
She said, she said she was doing this. When you said, is there anything inside your bra? And she was, well, no, I don't have anything like that. Did she do that?
Yeah, she did, but I didn't look or anything like that.
Right.
And then she was like, do you want me to show you? I was like, no.
She said when she said, do you want me to show you? You said, yeah, and she went,
woo. No, I didn't.
But could she have been, woo, flashing you? And now you don't want to tell me because you're afraid you're going to get in trouble?
No, when I told her no, I said no.
Then she didn't go, yeah,
No.
you know, because sometimes drunk girls are
having a good time.
Yeah, but I'm asking you if she flashed you anyways.
I didn't see her. I didn't see her
no
breasts.
boobies?
I didn't see her breasts.
All right. What about pants?
Nothing in her pants as far as I could. She was wearing tight jeans. So
She said she pulled them down.
I didn't see it.
You didn't see her pulling down?
I didn't see her pulling down pants.
You did not see her?
No, I did not see her breasts.
She's saying you shined your light on her.
I did not see her.
Where do you keep your flashlight?
The left side right here. Right.
Thankfully, Janie Liggins came forward and exposed the predator in uniform. Shortly after, Detective Gregory collected a buckle swab for Holtzclaw's DNA, evidence that would later be crucial.
Did we buckle swab anybody in the academy?
I don't.
As a demonstration?
Well, I never had this done, so.
Say there we go. And you get a free teeth cleaning with your first time.
You won't go none though.
All right, and then we're going to have one more round.
I turned off my phone.
Okay, we pulled up a lot of video around that area after these allegations. Okay. She also had a SANE exam, which you know what that consists of.
Right.
There's a reason why we wanted your buckles.
Okay.
So if we go off the video and watch that,
right,
you're still going to stick with your story.
Yes, sir.
Do you recall putting your penis in her mouth?
I don't.
Would you recall that if you did it?
If I did it, yeah.
Although Holtzclaw's body cam and GPS were turned off, the detectives had found some CCTV footage of the incident. Nothing could necessarily be seen on that, but it did prove that the officer's vehicle was stopped there for 25 minutes.
We knew you were on that stop.
Right.
We knew you were there. Mm-hmm. And we can watch a whole lot of actions being performed while you were there. Mm-hmm. Okay? And that's why she was trying to give you every out on the whole booby thing.
Right.
But any reason why your would be out?
No.
We didn't do it. And then the DNA comes back and says he did it. Then we have a huge problem.
Right.
Okay. On the video, are we going to see her boobies?
Shouldn't see her.
Okay. Are we going to see her pull her pants down?
I didn't see her pull her pants.
Okay. Are we going to see your penis?
No.
Are we going to see your penis go in her mouth?
No.
Are we going to get any DNA to that?
No.
The detectives also discovered that 43-year-old Terry Morris had complained about Officer Holtzclaw a month ago, that he had pulled her over for a traffic stop and then later raped.
Probably not necessarily going to remember the name, but her name is Terry Morris. Okay, black female. Supposedly you promised her a ride to the city rescue mission. Does this ring a bell?
No.
She thought you ran her for warrants. Was it clicking? Drove her around.
Mm-hmm. No. Name doesn't. I don't recall a name like that.
But she's claiming the same thing. The exact same thing. And here again, for whatever reason, things are pointing at you again. Traffic stop, not logged in, all that stuff.
The other girl that he's talking about is kind of making the same allegations, and that's weird.
Yeah, that doesn't look good. I mean,
that's
it doesn't
weird.
look, yeah, it doesn't look good. So, no, I don't.
Officer Holtzclaw was showing no signs of concern on his face, but it was clear that something was deeply wrong. The fact that so many underprivileged black women came forward with the same complaint was no coincidence.
Are you circumcised?
I am circumcised.
So, just asking. Do you have pubic hair?
Yes.
Well, I mean, some people manscape, as you call it.
Right.
You groom?
I groom.
Okay.
Yes.
So do I.
You got any identifying marks around your?
I don't.
Just a plain old penis, huh?
Plain old penis.
Plain old 14-incher.
I don't say about that, but.
See, you should have. You just had your opportunity. I just don't know what to think. Would you take a polygraph?
Yeah, if you want to take a polygraph.
I mean, I'm trying to think of a solution. Do you know how slow DNA is?
I don't. I do not.
Slow.
You went home? Was anybody home?
My girlfriend was home.
Do you live with her?
Huh? No, she doesn't. She just stayed.
Did you get laid?
Messed around, yeah.
What's messed around?
I guess.
We were all adults.
We almost had, and she was tired.
What'd you do?
So my, and then maybe went a little bit in, and then she pushed me off and said, "No, we don't want it. I'm tired." I was like, "Okay."
That's kind of mean to let it get that far and then stop.
So that's when you got home?
That's when I got home.
After asking a few questions about Holtzclaw's personal life and marriage, she shifted back to the case, this time with some more direct questions.
And she's sitting right here. If she goes like this, well, she's going to be looking right at your penis.
Okay. But it was just talking.
Let me ask you this. Did you ever get a hard on while you were talking to her? Because she could have.
I don't think
these
I got.
These pants don't fit the greatest,
right.
And if you get a hard on, I'm going to be able to tell you got a hard on.
Right, and I'm pretty positive I didn't get a hard on.
Didn't get a hard on when you. Did your pants come unzipped, unbuttoned, anything while you were standing right there?
No.
CSI is processing your car right now.
Right.
And when we stepped out, they found some pubic hairs right in here. Could they be yours?
No, that's not. I didn't do anything right there.
Did she?
No.
But do you think they could be?
No, it's not. No. Nothing of mine.
Your pubes couldn't be?
No.
Right there?
No.
Holtzclaw targeted African-American women with outstanding warrants, running background checks before stopping them. By the end of the week, his number of victims would rise to 8 as those poor women came forward.
You sure she just didn't flash you?
I can't. She did not flash. I don't want to say I can't recall, but I'm pretty positive she didn't flash.
I see a pair of titties.
She went like this, but nothing as far as I'm going like crazy looking.
Lifting the shirt.
No.
How far did she lift it?
She lifted it up first when I patted her down. She was like right here to like stomach line.
Did you see her belly?
Maybe some fat rolls or something. I don't know, but nothing.
Right, but I mean, could you see skin?
Yeah, I saw skin. Yeah. Yeah.
You like older women?
I don't.
How old is
her? She's 25.
Okay.
What's the oldest lady you've slept with?
Maybe 29.
You ever slept with a black woman?
I have. In high school, I have.
Okay.
Why would she make? Because when a woman says something like this, and they go through a sane exam, and they get, you didn't give her a ticket, so she's not getting out of a ticket. You didn't arrest her, because we get those when they go to jail. I've been have to work those stupid things because they think they're going to get out of jail.
One of the most devastating claims was made by a 17-year-old victim who claimed that the officer had raped her on her mother's porch.
Anyway, those pubes are going to be yours.
No, they're not. Please.
I know we're going to test it. It just takes, anyway, your skin cells are going to be anywhere on her mouth.
No.
Skin cells from your fingers.
No.
Did you touch her body anywhere other than with the back of your hand pat searching her?
I just passed searched her and that was about it. Didn't touch her face or anything.
Because if the tests come back, you ain't coming back in here.
Because we have a woman that says about, basically being assaulted.
Right.
Okay? And we're calling it by force and all that. Big difference between that and a hookup.
Right. Nothing else.
But when she was standing, did she try to pull her pants down?
No.
Did she do, you said she kind of did like this. Did she ever do anything down here?
No.
You said you take the lie detector test.
Right.
Do you have any extra job? Is there a time when you can't take a lie detector test?
No.
You're saying about a 15-minute traffic stop. How long do you usually take on traffic stop, just on average?
Maybe 20 minutes.
Testing later confirmed that her DNA was found on Holtzclaw's pants. Currently, the detectives remain focused on this single traffic stop. They continued asking more questions about it, but the officer never seemed to be in any doubt, as he was never under any kind of stress.
Now,
That's a long time.
Now, 20 minutes, and I'll give it to you. Just even doing the gang stuff and all that. Okay. 20 minutes. Now, that's going to be some 800 time, right?
800. Searching the car in detail, all that.
Okay, so doing all of that, all the running, waiting in line, and even on a search. Now, the question I have is we got a lapse of time here, so I'm kind of get a better handle on where the time went. You're talking about 15 minutes, no 800, no running on the computer, you shut it down. And you said it was just a quick little search of the car. Where's the rest of that time?
Just talking to her.
About what?
Just see where you go and trying to get her to confess. Are you drunk or not? Like, are you been drinking? Because I could smell it when I was in the car, but I can't really get it.
Well, what if she said, yes, I'm drunk?
There are a lot of drunk questions, like how much
have you been drinking? Mainly it's just have you been drinking, trying to get her confessed, see anything inside that juice, just trying to talk to her. But,
okay, right there, those questions maybe took 40 seconds. 15 minutes?
And you said 5 at the car. So then we got 10 of a lot of questions.
Right.
Okay. I mean, you tell me I wasn't there. I mean, obviously I don't have any audio.
And that's what I'm saying. Roughly on a traffic stop take about 20 minutes.
The detectives still couldn't wrap their heads around the fact that Holtzclaw did not issue a ticket to the woman, and the stop still took 25 minutes.
How could you take 15 minutes on that?
Just talking. I must have been talking. So that's it.
I can't see her wanting to talk if she's crying and asking if you're going to shoot her and all this. I don't see her being real forthcoming with conversation.
Whether my questions or whatnot, that's it.
I mean, you don't seem. I mean, I don't know how you were out there, but just kind of talking with you. I mean, you seem real laid back and everything like that. I've never got the impression of just kind of an angry type cop. We know some.
So you don't think 15 minutes was too long on that traffic stop?
No,
And nothing went on during that 15 minutes?
Nothing.
Suddenly, Detective Davis called Holtzclaw's wife to confirm his earlier statement. Shockingly, he was caught lying immediately.
I just talked to Carrie.
Okay.
She said she was asleep when you got home and you did not try to have sex, and you did not have sex.
Did try to have sex.
She said you didn't. And I asked her, could you have been asleep? And you kind of, no. And she said no. You did not try to have sex.
Because I don't want to involve her. I tried to have sex with her and she was asleep. Carrie goes to sleep pretty early, about 9, 10 at the late.
Okay, but she would know if you tried. I'm a woman.
I know.
And my husband comes home in the middle of the night and I'm like, are you kidding me? I've been asleep. You said you twirled around her vagina and you put it in a little bit, and then she said, I'm tired. No.
I did.
She would remember that to tell me.
Shoot. Maybe.
She said you did not try to have sex.
That was a disastrous start for Holtzclaw, as his claims were quickly proven false. With this, the detectives had every right to launch a full investigation, as things were unraveling for him.
I don't know what to say, I mean, because it just looks like I just caught you in a lie, and now I don't know what to believe.
I'm telling you.
I don't know what to believe, because you tell me this, I go to verify it, she tells me the opposite, and now I'm wondering what you're telling the truth about.
Maybe because she doesn't know what the heck's going on.
No, she doesn't. I didn't tell her.
And I'm glad, but detectives calling her, any other officer asking her a question like that.
I know.
I'm telling you, I tried to have sex with Carrie, my girlfriend.
She is going to remember your weenie twirling around her hoo-ha. You remember that. I'm sorry, I don't care how much of a sleeper you are. You remember because it pisses you off in the middle of the night and you go, are you serious? Don't bother me with that.
Finally, the interrogation came to an end, and the detectives also took over Holtzclaw's uniform, which was sent over for DNA testing as well.
Looks like you're gonna need to, unless you want to keep the shirt on. I don't know. I don't know if this shirt's gonna be big enough for you. You're a big old boy. Was gonna get a Tyvek. Well, why don't you go ahead and get dressed then?
I need to tell you what's going on. It's crazy. I said, I'm basically on my way home, and I'd like to talk to you. What's going on? It's crazy.
Officer Holtzclaw was placed on leave, and as investigations progressed with multiple women coming forward, he faced 36 charges of sexual battery, oral assault, and stalking from 8 different women.
Verdict, count 1, sexual battery. We, the jury, impaneled and sworn in the above entitled cause, do upon our oaths find as follows. Defendant is guilty of the crime of sexual battery and set punishment at 8 years. Count 2, procuring lewd exhibition. Not guilty of the crime of procuring lewd exhibition. Defendant is not guilty of the crime of sexual battery. Count 8, defendant is guilty of the crime of forcible. Punishment is set at 20 years. Count 9, first degree. Defendant is not guilty of the crime of first degree.
Despite Holtzclaw's claim that the women were seeking monetary gain and trying to frame him, the jury unanimously found him guilty.
Count 16, forcible sodomy. Defendant is guilty of the crime of forcible sodomy and punishment is set at 16 years. Count 17, forcible sodomy. Defendant is not guilty of the crime of forcible oral sodomy. Count 18, procuring lewd exhibition. Defendant is not guilty of the crime of procuring lewd exhibition. Count 28, the first degree. Defendant is guilty of the crime of first degree and punishment is set at 30 years. Count 29, first degree. Defendant is guilty of the crime of first degree and punishment is set at 30 years. Count 30, sexual battery. Defendant is guilty of the crime of sexual battery and punishment is set at 8 years. Count 31, second degree by instrumentation. Defendant is guilty of the crime of second degree and punishment is set at 12 years.
After listening to some last words from the judge, Holtzclaw left the courtroom in tears, still claiming that he did not do it.
Mr. Holtzclaw, this jury finds you guilty of the various counts. You will be remanded to the custody of the Oklahoma County Sheriff for formal sentencing set January 21st, 2016 at 10 o'clock a.m. All right, you have a seat.
He was eventually sentenced to 263 years in prison and will not be seeing a day outside of prison walls again. Well, that brings us to the end of this video. Today we witnessed a shocking case of police corruption and an abuse of power. This may be one of the worst instances of police brutality. Positive outcome is that the officer was sentenced to life in prison. We hope this serves as a lesson to other officers that such actions are never repeated. And if you agree, please support us by liking this video. And if you enjoyed this video, watch the moments where these criminals viciously attacked these cops.
Show me your hands.